Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 8, Reunion Part 2.
Uh-oh, that C word came up again. That C word that seemed to come up in every reunion and every season. We go talk about it today. You ready, Blair?
I'm ready.
Subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. Let's go, Blair.
We start with where we left off before. Ink thinks that Jeremiah is his son. Mia says that she had an affair shortly. I think she was pretty much saying after the IUI. But Mia says it's Gordon's child. She knows.
Even though there's some overlapping going on.
Right.
Okay, Mia.
And Karen says that we really should move on because the child is old enough. He may watch this. Like, let's not spend too much time on the child. And everyone agrees.
I mean, I agree with that. But what are y'all going to do next season? You get what I'm saying? This is one segment. Are y'all going to do a whole season about this?
They should just take the paternity test. I mean, it's not that hard to figure it out. So,
well,
yeah.
The thing about it is there may be some, I'm not going to say consequences, but the test may tell us the truth and the truth may hurt. You get what I'm saying? Especially when you think one thing and it's another. But, you know, kids is off limit. I know.
Yeah. Well, it didn't seem like you were separated based off of G's speech, is what Andy's saying to her. And Mia says that she told Robyn that she retained a lawyer to file for divorce.
Yeah, I think we saw that scene.
Yeah, Andy was saying how, you know, we're having a call to action for everybody to be transparent and made it clear that she was transparent. And also, we saw them in therapy like this whole season. So we knew they were on the rocks.
Yeah.
And Gordon, when we talk about the scene where they were in the condo having their communication, Gizelle was saying that it looked like he was angry. And she asked, is he mad about you leaving due to the financial situation? And Mia says it doesn't have to do with finances. It doesn't have to do with his age. It's just about how he gets angry, how he talks to me, him emptying out my bank account, which is financial abuse. And he's very controlling. And Mia says that she's saying that Gordon is in therapy now.
Well, here's the thing about that. Yes, I can believe those things because based on how it started, how y'all met and things of that nature, the thing that attracted you to him was his money, right? Or the idea that you thought he had money, right? And he used what attracted you to control you. Something as simple as locking you in the room, taking your phone, draining your bank account. Those are things that if you marry or get in a relationship for those materialistic things, don't be upset or surprised when that person used materialistic things to control you, to keep you there, to keep you bound. You get what I'm saying?
So we find out Gordon is not working and Mia is still helping him out.
Supporting his life.
Right. She explains the inheritance. She lost 3 grandparents. Yeah. And when she met Gordon, she received the cash from the death of her grandparents. She says, fortunately for me.
Jesus Christ.
I'm assuming she didn't know these grandparents. I don't know. But a year later, she found that he was functioning bankrupt. And she has... and pretty much at the wedding, she said that's when she found out, like later on in their relationship, that he really didn't have all the money that he said that he had. So Mia is being sued. Pretty much Mia and Gordon are being sued by the apartment because Mia explains that she left the apartment. He decided to stay. She paid her portion of the rent and he needs to pay for his. She's not going to pay his portion.
Oh, come on. I need you, Mia, to pay my portion.
They ask about when they're going to get divorced. She says they have to wait until their businesses have been sold for them to get the divorce. So probably June, July of this year.
Now, let's stop right here for a second. Based on the information that Mia shared with us so far, before we get into the Wendy and Candiace portion of it, do you believe anything she's saying?
I do, but you never know with Mia.
That's what I'm saying. She likes.
I believe it because she just said it, and I think that she tends to be. She doesn't have any shame, so I feel like she usually just says whatever the situation is. But she do be lying sometimes, but I don't feel like she's lying in this situation.
Here's the thing about it, man. How she was answering those questions so quickly, it will give off the impression that, oh, yeah, she's just being open. She's just being transparent. She just answered the question. She's telling the truth. But don't be surprised. Please don't be surprised when the show is over for this season and you read some on the blog that basically just totally undercuts everything she just said just now.
Yeah.
Because Mia is that... I don't want to say that good of a liar because that's not a good trait to praise, but Mia's Mia. You know what I'm saying? So let's hear about this Candiace and Wendy thing.
Well, Mia says that everyone has reached out to her except for Wendy and Candiace when she was going through her issues. So Candiace tells us she didn't reach out because she just didn't want to be involved. It was a messy situation. She just didn't want to get in the mix.
Respect.
Wendy didn't reach out because last season,
Come on, Blair.
Mia assaulted her. And she never said anything. She goes on to say, but I never said anything about what Gordon said to the men out in public. So in a way, I was having your back, but you didn't answer the question, Wendy.
So hold on. Let me get this
straight.
So
I don't know if we're talking about assault when y'all been cool this whole season, but okay.
Let me get this straight. Because sometimes I just don't get it, right? So Gordon texts the men.
Yes.
In their group chat. And according to Wendy, Gordon was saying some vile things, some things that is very beneath something that you should say to a person, right? Mind you, Wendy's using this as a way of love.
Yeah.
She's using this as, you don't understand, Gordon says some things that was disrespectful, that was mean, and he wanted to destroy you. And I could have told everybody what he said. Yeah. But I didn't. Okay. Let's put that to the side, doctor. Right? Candiace said, hey, truth be told, I ain't want to be in it. I straight was in somebody else's marriage business. We ain't friends no more. I ain't really trying to be in nobody else's business. Right. I'm paraphrasing. And guess what, Candiace? Respect to you. Thank you for the truth. You know what I'm saying? But Wendy trying to make it seem like, we didn't end on a good note. On a good note. You know what I'm saying? During this whole time while she's trying to explain why they're not on a good note, Robyn, Karen, and even Gizelle, they talking like, were they bumping like coochies in the club after? And I thought Mia apologized, and I thought you accepted the apology. Wendy, what are you talking about? Blair, help me. What is Wendy talking about?
I have no clue. Wendy's lying. I don't know why Wendy just didn't say I didn't want to.
I ain't gonna hold you, y'all. I want Wendy off the show.
Okay.
I want Dr. Wendy off the show because I don't understand what's Dr. Wendy's angle. Like, I really don't. And it frustrates me because I'm like, number one, I don't want Dr. Wendy on the show because I'm like, you a little too good for the show. And then now the more I see her on the show, I'm like, I don't think you're doing the show right. Yeah. Because it's always like, I don't want to say she's condescending, but she always speak from a place as if it's like some elitist type of thing. Like, well, Wendy, Mia, we wasn't in a good place and da-da-da-da-da. And, I could have used those things against you, but I didn't. That's love. And I'm just like, what are you talking about, Wendy? Yeah. Like, it's just frustrating to watch, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, so we asked Mia about her living situation. Yeah. So she lives in an apartment in D.C. And G is going to be moving across the street from her. Currently, he's in North Carolina. And Robyn says, the living situation is really confusing. At one point, we thought you were in Atlanta or Charlotte or something like that. And Mia pretty much says she can be in multiple places.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mia.
So we see Gizelle's reel.
Okay, guys. Relax, guys. Okay? I hear y'all booing already. Boo. Throwing tomatoes at the screen. Okay, right. Gizelle real.
Yes. And Gizelle makes it clear that she never made fun of Wendy's mom. She said she didn't know that her mom was in the hospital. Okay. Andy clarifies that while Wendy's mom was in the hospital, you called her evil. But Gizelle keeps making the point that I didn't know that she was in the hospital.
Now, let's start right here. Right? Here's one reason why Gizelle should be fired or should be on probation. I'm going to go with probation first before fired, right? Because when we saw the Gizelle reel, what happened in her reel throughout the season?
Her daughter off to college, this fake relationship, and the passing of her dad.
That's it. And most of those things happened at the end of the season, kind of like back to back. Right. Her children going off to college, that's whatever it is, right? You with this fake relationship, we saw one scene with that. And that was in the beginning of the season, right? And then we never heard about the guy ever again. And then we hear about the unfortunate passing of her father, right? Which she can't control, which she's not going to use to basically to make money off of. Dude, you get what I'm saying?
But at the same time, like, I didn't like how she handled that. At the same time, you can't tell people how to handle a parent's
help me with
death
that.
in the public. But I'm saying Robyn explained what was going on with Gizelle's dad. Giselle didn't even explain. When she was in the confessionals, they were asking her, what's going on with your dad?
She said, we talk about it later.
She said, we'll talk about it later. It was Robyn's voice was the one who went on to explain exactly what his current health status was. So she wasn't even going to give us that. So,
and mind you, we're not trying to judge you for how you deal with the real death of your parent. But I will say this. The reason why y'all mad at Robyn is because she didn't share her life on the show. She put her life behind the paywall. Gizelle is not in the same position as Robyn. Gizelle is not in the same position as Wendy, Candiace, Ashley. She is one of the anchors of the show, if you like it or not. She's one of the leaders of the show. Her and Karen, right? It's built off of their relationship, and when they fall out, get back together. Gizelle have not shared nothing about her life on this show for the past 3 seasons. And I'm like, okay, you got to get called to the carpet for that. Before we get to the C word, before we get to how you have a relationship with Candiace, before we get to how you disrespected Wendy's mother and things of that nature, when are you going to share something about your life on the show?
Yeah.
Because you're not living up to the bar. And I would say your bar have to be higher because you're one of the main characters on the show. But let's get to it.
Yeah. Well, I guess I kind of want to play devil's advocate.
Okay, come on, devil.
Just in the sense that I don't think Gizelle has anything going on.
Well,
like her daughter went away to school.
Facts.
And, unfortunately, the situation with her dad, I wish that she could have brought the viewers in more, kind
of humanize herself
in a way and how she approached that situation.
Respect.
But the situation with the boy toy was totally
weird,
fabricated. It didn't come off as authentic. But my thing is, I'm starting to think that Gizelle really doesn't have anything going on. And I think that's why people say she's so miserable and she wants to talk about everybody else's relationships because really her life is just not, I'm not going to say not that interesting, but not enough for a whole storyline on a show.
It's not.
I think the show is the most interesting part of her life.
So basically her life is not TV ready to be, basically there's no story in her life outside of the fact that she's on Potomac.
Yeah.
That's actually interesting. I ain't think of it that way.
But it doesn't give her an excuse. I mean, if you don't show up with something and get the people interested.
That's how you get demoted to friend of the show.
Then that's how you get demoted to friend of the show because you don't have enough to bring to the forefront. And instead of being the person on the cast who tries to break up happy homes, accuse husbands of things and all this type of stuff, you know what? We have you just come in for the parties because you really just causing chaos and it's not even fun to watch.
I'm not even going to hold you. I think the reason why Gizelle lasted this long and we gonna get right back on track is because of Karen. I think Karen advocates for her.
Yeah.
Because I think we all can agree, maybe not you, actually not you because you said it's a whole bunch of time. I want Charisse to be on the show. I think her name is Charisse.
Yeah, I don't.
I want Charisse to be on the show. But Karen don't like that woman.
Yeah.
And as long as Karen is one of the leaders of the show, she will not be on the show as a main cast. And mainly because I think Robyn is close with Charisse, and Charisse really knows what be going on with Karen.
Yeah.
And things like that. Like Karen can go back and forth with Robyn all she wants, which I kind of think is kind of the underbelly hatred that she had for Robyn a little bit because she is close with Charisse. But she can't go back and forth with Charisse because she's like, I know you.
Yeah.
Like I know the problem you have. You get what I'm saying? But to get back to this, Gizelle, you did call that woman evil. You get what I'm saying? But I will say this, Wendy, right? I don't think it's apples and oranges. Wendy's mother was in the hospital for what was it called? Elective surgery and elective surgery. I'm not saying that elective surgery
or even procedure because when we sat down with the mom was making it seem like it might have been just like a diagnostic, like she could have been in there for an MRI or something. I don't know. The way the mom made it seem like it wasn't like a serious situation. Yeah. So I don't know.
I just want to say your mother being in the hospital, Wendy, is very different than Gizelle's father being in the hospital, and both to be handled differently but respectfully.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Differently, it's not right what you said in the sense of she don't care about me. She don't care about my mama. So, I don't really have nothing to say about her father, I'm like, okay, then don't say nothing then. like, you get what I'm saying? But Gizelle, you did call that woman evil. But you probably did not know that woman was in the hospital. Guess what? Nobody knew until you started crying at the little picnic thing in Austin, right?
Yeah.
Until you shared that with us. You were like, that's why, I go so hard at Nneka, because, like, my mother been in the hospital and things like that. Two things can be correct, right? In the sense of, hey, you did call that woman evil. Just apologize for that, Gizelle.
Yeah.
Just say, like, I'm sorry for calling your mother evil. But Gizelle never gonna say I'm sorry.
No.
Right? And Wendy, hey, your mother being in the hospital for whatever happened, it's not the same as Gizelle's father being in there for his condition at the time, and he passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So let's not try to...
Wendy wants it to be held to the same weight.
It can't be.
But it's not.
It can't be. My thing is, even though it can't be held to the same weight, I do think, like, hey, look, tell my mama sorry.
Right.
Dude, you know what I'm saying? Even though it's not the same weight, an apology is owed on both parts.
And also, I mean, it wasn't Gizelle's fight to step into for her to be calling Wendy's mom evil.
Whole time, though.
So why are you jumping in on this commentary? You're not talking to Wendy, so why are you talking about her mom?
That's facts, though.
So...
matter of fact, since you said that, it would hit differently if Nneka said it.
Yeah.
Because Nneka has a direct problem with that side of the family and things like that. But Gizelle kind of actually volunteering that insult is kind of wild.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, Gizelle shares that everyone told her not to do this show except for her dad.
Yeah.
He loved hosting the ladies when they came to New Orleans. He also wanted a celebration of life, so they had a huge party to celebrate him.
Respect.
She was there when he took his last breath, and she does start to get teary-eyed. She reaches for Karen because Karen was there when I think one of her parents took their last breath.
Yeah.
And she says that she really got one of the best dads in life.
Hey, listen here. She said she lucked up. She got one of the best dads in life. I'm not going to comment on her father. I'm not going to comment on how she felt about her father and how she dealt with her father. Hopefully she's okay with that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And I will say that moment of vulnerability for Gizelle is nice. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm just like, and I don't mean to color this situation for other situations, I guess, but I'm like, I feel like Gizelle only cares about her people, her family. When it comes to any other person, empathy, compassion, it's just not there.
Well, she said she had to go to get some help to know what empathy means.
Yeah.
So
so I'm just like, if it doesn't have to do with her kids, her daughters, or her dad, like what really blows me is just because I'm like, well, Gizelle, you're so hard on a Candiace or a Wendy, but they're somebody's daughters too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but they're daughters of an evil mama.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And I'm just like, just how, like, the dichotomy of it, or I don't even know if I'm using that correctly, but I'm just like,
I like it.
For her to be so emotional, and of course people care about their loved ones greatly.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to say she can't be emotional about her dad's passing, but it's just like, there is like a switch to where she is just not able to give a F about anybody and what anybody else has going on. And it's just like, it's so like ugly.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, Candiace is crying because she has empathy. And
okay.
Well, that was her answer.
Yeah, I get it, but Mia says she cries when the wind blows.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Candiace be crying. Like, Candiace just cries.
But Candiace feels for Gizelle, and that's why she's crying. Okay. And that's what she says.
What is the N-word? I mean, not N-word, Jesus.
Empath.
Is the empath? There we go. So, like, I think Candiace just cries. You know what I'm saying? Gizelle would say fake tears.
Yeah.
Kind of funny. Or real tears. Who knows,
Andy points out that Candiace is feeling a lot of emotion for what Gizelle expressed. And he's trying to connect the dots for Gizelle, for her to see that this is her showing that she cares for you and what you're going through. And Andy says to Gizelle, you don't show emotion much, but we did see some emotion when your daughter left for school.
Dude, you know what's crazy? Even when Candiace was crying, Gizelle kind of brushed that off too.
Yeah, because she kind of felt like...
She was like, this not even about you. I'm like, no, I'm crying.
Yeah, like Candiace was trying to make it about her or something.
I'm trying to feel for you. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It is what it is.
Grace is doing well in school.
Congrats.
And Giselle's happy that her dad got to see her daughter graduate. Great. What's the other one? Adore and the other one. Sorry.
I thought the other one was Grace and the other one. Okay.
No, Adore and the twins. The twins.
Okay.
Yeah. They're committed to where they're going for school.
Okay.
So Andy brings up when Candiace and Wendy made faces when Gizelle was talking about sending her daughter to Florida.
Yeah.
Karen and he asked Karen if she could have done better with calling out Wendy and Candiace in that situation. And Karen says in hindsight, she can say she, would be doing the right thing, but she can't take on what other people do. So she sees everyone making faces. It's not solely Wendy and Candiace. And, she can try to stand up for what's right. But at the end of the day, these are grown people. I can't control them.
Karen, pick a side. That fence you on, it's gonna fall. The more you straddle it, you just can't say, well, everybody make faces and things of that nature. It's just like pick a side. One side you on Gizelle's side and things of that nature. If we're gonna split it in the middle, but you don't want the hatred that comes from being on Gizelle's side. So you kind of itch towards the middle a little bit, and you kind of be like, well, faces and things like that. The truth of the matter is Wendy and Candiace was making faces. But my problem with Andy's questioning in this right here, I don't know if this is a question that came from him or a question that came from the audience. Why is this even a question?
Yeah.
Why is this why are we pointing out? Hear me out, y'all. Don't jump at me. I don't want any comments on this. Just listen to me first. Why does it seem like we are pointing out Wendy's and Candiace transgressions? It's like this is the segment of hey, yeah, remember when y'all was making faces when Gizelle talked about her daughter? I'm like, okay, why is that even a face is not a sentence.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? It's one thing if we talk about Wendy saying what she said in connection to Gizelle's father. Okay, we could talk about that because words actually came out. A face don't mean anything. Right? Or put like this, you can't put my words to it. Okay, I made faces. But what do you want me to say about the faces that I made? Okay, I made a face. So I don't understand why we putting a spotlight on Candiace and Wendy for kind of their transgressions towards Gizelle in this moment.
Okay. Well, Candiace is upset that she doesn't like how Gizelle would weaponize her daughter against her. Okay. And Gizelle doesn't feel like she's weaponizing her daughter against them. She's upset that they were making faces. But I do. It's the same type of thing when people say like have a comment towards somebody's mothering and they're like, oh, you're talking about my child. And it's like Gizelle was trying to make it seem like, oh, you're talking about my kid or you're making faces about my child. When it's just no, we just don't like you. Yeah. So whatever you say, we're just ignoring you.
So in a way, you are weaponizing it to make it seem like I thought children was off limits. I ain't saying nothing about your daughter.
Right. So Wendy said that she congratulated Gizelle. She asked if Grace was going to be an AKA. And Gizelle is saying that never happened. Production is saying they don't have the footage. But Candiace and Wendy are saying that they both remember that Wendy had this conversation with Gizelle.
What did you think about that, Blair?
I mean, I believe it. I don't see why Wendy would lie. But Wendy, she's been lying this season. So, I don't know.
It's kind of just strange, right?
Yeah, Wendy's been a little off for me this season. I genuinely, do like Wendy. But this season with the Nneka and knowing and not knowing people, it's been a little bit weird. Yeah. But I tend to believe that she probably did have this conversation because Gizelle don't be remembering what she said, just like she didn't remember when she said Chris made her go into the room. They had to play that back for her to admit to saying it. So I'm just like, Giselle's not going to admit to anything if y'all don't have tape.
I would say this, all right? Did it happen? I believe it happened. Because I'm like, this is just and then to say it and to basically say play the tape, I'd be like, oh, this is just a dumb lie to lie about if there is tape for it to happen. But let's say it didn't happen. Let's say the whole thing didn't happen. I'm playing devil's advocate. What's the point? What if Wendy didn't say it? What is the conclusion that we're trying to get to that Wendy hate your daughter? Yeah. No. Are we trying to get to the point that Candiace hate your daughter? No. So what's the point of arguing if it was said or not? What are you trying to paint Candiace and Wendy as?
Yeah, because nobody was trying to pick at your daughter.
So come on, Blair. So I'm like, let's say they didn't say it. So are you saying by y'all not saying this, y'all hate my daughter Grace? No. So I'm like, it doesn't matter. Why are we spending time or trying to paint a portrait of something or like Gizelle trying to pick something, it kind of leads me to kind of your devil's advocate idea. She ain't got nothing going on, so she's like, and y'all picking on my daughter. I'm like, okay, relax now.
It's like you just need something to latch on to because like, you ain't got nothing else.
It's like,
and you done talking about their husbands, I guess, for the period now, I guess.
And guess what? Let me be real with you. Mm-hmm. Even if I did go, and which I do believe Wendy did, if I did say congratulations and ask if you're going to be an AKA like your mom, that don't mean I like your daughter either, too. So I don't even understand what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I'm confused, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, Andy asked how Jason is doing.
Oh, my goodness.
And Gizelle says they're doing good. They're just having fun. Some pictures did come out of Jason with some woman. And Gizelle knew in advance. Mm-hmm. And basically, they're not serious. He can do whatever he wants. And she's seeing other people as well. And then Mia, like, actually confirms that she's seeing some sports player. And, you know, Gizelle didn't really want to give us that much information.
Let's move on, because this is just, like,
it's like pulling teeth with Gizelle.
It's
just like, I don't even
I don't want to do fake stories.
For me, I'm just like, I just don't care to know. If you don't want to serve it up on a silver platter for us to enjoy and be part of entertainment, keep it and leave.
It's a fake story. So yeah. I'm like, I'm not going to review and give my thoughts on a fake story. Actually,
it's not that interesting. Keep it fine.
Let's keep going.
So we see Candiace is real. And Candiace talks about how the lump shrunk in her breast. So there was virtually nothing there now. She didn't have to go get a biopsy. Mm-hmm. Her tour was a success. Now we get into why Candiace didn't want Drew to open for her. Mm-hmm. Apparently, Drew was trying to use someone on Candiace's team, but didn't go through the correct routes of contacting her first or the way that Candiace would have handled it. Mm-hmm. So she just wanted to sever any type of business relationship.
Okay.
We find out that the lawsuit with Michael was dismissed.
Okay.
And Candiace says that she didn't believe that Ashley knew anything about it. Even though Candiace's mom felt like she knew. Mm-hmm. But whether Ashley knew or not, it doesn't matter. It's not like Ashley was going to be coming to the court and like speaking on anybody's behalf. She wasn't going to be that involved anyway.
Yeah.
So Andy asks, do you feel that she was coming for your job, talking to Robyn about Candiace's tweets? Mm-hmm. And Robyn said that she was being critical of my job, and friends don't do that. Mm-hmm. Candiace is explaining that a timeline is missing. Okay. So the reunion was shot last year, January 19th. On January 23rd, Robyn posted something. Candiace sent a compliment talking about long hair, because like Robyn had on, I guess, like a long style. Yeah. And Robyn says it probably makes me look like a white adjacent woman, which I can't imagine is a good thing.
Start right there. All right. So this is in the DMs of Instagram. And in this situation, Robyn's being passive aggressive.
Yes, absolutely.
She's being passive aggressive.
If you got an issue, just say it.
Because the reason why she said that, which is kind of weird after you say, okay, long hair. You get what I'm saying? Candiace had a tweet that basically, you know how Candiace be tweeting. You know what I'm saying? Candiace had a tweet that mentioned the white adjacent. Adjacent is the word?
Yeah, but she also said it during last reunion.
Yeah. So it just came off as Robyn basically was like, okay, passive aggressive. Go ahead, continue.
And those white adjacent comments really hit Robyn deeply. Okay. And Candiace asked if Robyn was mad at her. Okay. Robyn didn't respond. In March, Candiace reached out about the Juan situation, and Robyn didn't respond then either. Okay. Then Candiace was mad about the paywall stuff, and she tweeted what she tweeted. And she apologizes for hurting Robyn.
Respect for apologizing for hurting Robyn now. I mean,
y'all had a whole sit down. You couldn't apologize at the sit down. Like, I don't understand Candiace in that regard.
I don't understand Candiace thinking. Yeah. Right. I don't understand Candiace thinking. So let's run it through again. Right. Candiace had a tweet. She even said it, but Candiace had a tweet. Right. And I like the fact that they actually was having this conversation and they wasn't lying. I mean, they made sure that even just a simple word, no, you didn't say pretty hair, you said long hair. Yeah, I did say long hair. Yeah. So we had the tweets, we had the text messages. And then that's when, Robyn, you said something snarky in the sense of basically trying to let Candiace know you was mad about something besides saying that I'm mad about something, even though y'all supposed to be friends, right? Yeah. So during that time, she said, are you mad at me, right? Somebody on the other side can say, talking about in defense of Robyn, somebody can say, Candiace, besides texting that, you could call. right? But she's not answering the text messages.
Yeah.
And then even when the Juan thing happened, she reached out again. You're not answering that, right? So what do Candiace supposed to think, right? She's supposed to think at least she's mad at me or she's not talking to me, right? This is where Candiace loses me at right here, though. When the paywall stuff happened, I don't see how you went from, okay, you're mad at me, now I'm going to basically unleash on you.
Yeah.
That's where there's a disconnect for me right there. Because I'm like, if you're not talking to me, okay, cool. I won't talk to you. But to go out your way and to basically, I don't want to say trash because I don't want to make it that deep, but to basically call into question, as Andy said, her job, and basically like, should she be fired? And y'all supposed to be friends. Friends can be mad at each other.
Yeah.
Do you get
without blasting each other?
Without blasting each other. Exactly. So I'm not going to say Robyn was right in what she did because she was passive aggressive. Closed mouths ain't going to get fed.
Exactly.
You going to have to tell me you mad at me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm coming over for movie night. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, Candiace, you acting like you haven't been mad at a friend? And what would you have felt if a friend was mad at you and they choose that opportunity to basically just throw away the whole relationship? That's what you did.
Yeah.
Through your emotions, right? That's what you did. But I'm not going to harp on you so much because you actually apologized. This is like 6 apologies between Candiace. Candiace has given throughout 2 parts of the show.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
And none issued to her when there were plenty that should have been issued to her.
Come on now. We go get into it. Go ahead.
Yeah. My only thing about this situation is that I agree. I'm like, Robyn, if you really had an issue with what Candiace was saying, then you should have spoke up about it. But because if you really care about the friendship, but that's why I don't believe Robyn was really Candiace's friend, like, ever.
Me neither.
Because if we're really friends, then we should be able to have a conversation about what's bothering us.
Yeah.
But to me, Robyn treated Candiace like she could take her or leave her. And, you know, that's to Candiace's point of basically being like, you know, I thought we were friends, like we should be able to get through things, we should be able to talk about things. And I understand where Candiace is coming from, like, I've reached out multiple times. She's ignored me multiple times. So she's not being a friend to me. Like, she's not holding this relationship in regards to where we can actually work through things.
Come on, Blair.
So by me going out and having like an online temper tantrum, like, we should be able to communicate and get back to where we need to get to, because she was ignoring me, basically saying like Candiace didn't start it necessarily. Like, it was already a domino effect in place. But the thing is, like we said, like this whole time, you can't tell people how to react to your reaction or react to you. So if Robyn ignoring you and being passive aggressive was rude to you and you wasn't feeling it, then you could have either tried to call her or you could have given her space. But instead you chose to go online and bash the lady, and this just gave her another reason to be like, yeah, I ain't fooling with her.
Because I feel like, I said it last episode, I'll say it again, I feel like Candiace falls into the trap of trying to make y'all happy.
Yeah, social media.
She does the Hulk Hogan ears to the crowd. And the crowd at that point, they lump Robyn in with Gizelle. You get what I'm saying? She's part of the GEB, right? So whole time when she sees things and see comments talking about Robyn should be fired and things like that, she knows those are probably the type of questions that's going to be asked if she was to go on someone's page or go on someone's show and things of that nature. She kind of keeps her ears to the crowd and say, what do the audience want to hear? And I think in those moments, Candiace forgets the friendship, right? But like I said, I'm not going to harp on her because she actually said, Robyn, I'm sorry for hurting you.
Yeah.
Right?
Finally.
But Robyn don't care.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Robyn don't.
She really don't.
Because if it was real friendship, Robyn could be like, hey, I'm still mad about it, but I accept your apology, and maybe some way down the line we can work on it. But right now, I'm still kind of mad about it. But Robyn don't even give her even acknowledgement that she apologized. You know what I'm saying? But now you kind of get to see why she doesn't give her no acknowledgement to an apology. Because now there's the other side of basically what Candiace is alluding to that Robyn accuses her of. Go ahead, Blair.
Yeah. Well, Robyn is saying that the colorism conversation is especially uncomfortable for her.
Yeah.
She starts to break down crying. And also the plotting and accusations hurt her as well.
Yeah.
And Candiace says that she grew up in a household where race, colorism, all those conversations were common. And she thought that it would be a comfortable conversation for the cast, but maybe she was putting her own perceptions onto other people.
Yeah, I don't know if Candiace being honest there.
And Gizelle doesn't have an issue with talking about colorism. She talks about how she went to a HBCU.
That don't mean nothing.
She pledged, all these different things.
That don't mean nothing.
But she didn't like Candiace going online, making these accusations, and pretty much riling the people up. Mm-hmm. And Candiace said that she didn't feel her castmates were colorist. And she made that clear multiple times when asked. Wendy doesn't think that these women have the range to have this colorism conversation.
Uh-oh.
And that's the elitism and talking down that people don't like. I can agree. I don't think Robyn has the range, but Robyn has also voiced that she doesn't really know what to do in these situations. But you can't put that on everybody.
But it's not even that. I'm not going to jump on Wendy on this one. Mainly because Karen tried to move forward the conversation. Mm-hmm. And Karen said there is no group of women on this platform, talk about Bravo, who is more qualified to speak on this than us.
Yeah.
And I was like, I saw y'all failed last year at it. So y'all not qualified to speak on it and things like that. And maybe Wendy could have used a different thing to say in the range and things of that nature. But
because to me, it's like she's calling these people stupid or something.
I mean, I'm not going to say stupid because stupid is not a nice word to say. But when y'all was given the opportunity to talk about it last year, including Wendy herself, nobody said anything.
Because everybody seemed uncomfortable, and then Candiace was like, "I don't think it's on the show." So it's like y'all are like pulling the air out of the balloon. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so let me criticize Candiace now. I'm about to criticize Candiace because you can't say that you grew up all this time and have these conversations, and then when it's time for you to have the conversation, you looked uncomfortable last year. But I will say this though: the reason why I kind of don't believe Candiace, and when I say don't believe, I'm not calling her a liar.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go with, I think her perception just a little off. Mm-hmm. I'm not calling her a liar. I think she did grow up all the time having these conversations because she grew up with money. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So she probably was the darkest one compared to, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those conversations probably needed to be had because of the circles that she was always in.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So race conversations probably was a constant in Candiace's life and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. Even the fact that she married a white man. Like the conversation is a constant thing in Candiace's life. Mm-hmm. But to think that everyone will be comfortable because you're comfortable with it, I think is different because I think Candiace, when we talk about race and when we talk about colorism, even though they kind of relate, they're very different. You get what I'm saying? I actually was listening to somebody speak about this years ago because I was like, oh yeah, like the whole thing about how like darker skinned black people compared to more fair skinned black people and things like that. There's a plight in that in itself that I wasn't aware of because I'm a man and I have my own privilege and things like that. But I didn't know there was a such thing until like years ago that darker skinned women get treated differently than lighter skinned women. Okay. And things like that. And not even I'm not even talking about like light skin in the sense of like they look white type of thing. I'm talking about like just like not dark like you. So I'm like, I wasn't hip to that. Mm-hmm. So for Candiace to say like, I thought everybody be cool with that. No, there's some black people who really don't really understand the whole colorist thing or not used to the colorist conversation. So to actually act like that's a common conversation, I was like, I think your perception just off just a little bit. What do you think about the whole colorist thing being brought up and Robyn saying she never been called that in her life and basically she getting emotional about it?
Well, why do I...
Dude, I mean, truth be told, you don't have to feel nothing about it, to be honest.
I mean, I'm trying to answer your question, but I'm not really clear on your question. How do I feel about Robyn being uncomfortable with the conversation?
Well, not uncomfortable, but like, what was your reaction when you saw Robyn crying and basically saying, like, I've never been called colorist until I was on the show? Like, how do you feel about the whole undertone of this show?
Okay, so like how Wendy brought up how racism and how people can be upset by being called a racist instead of wondering like what made you think that. I did felt like that applied to the situation because for Gizelle and Robyn, a little introspection never hurt nobody.
Okay. A little mirror?
A little mirror, a little self-reflection never hurt anybody. Yeah. And I can understand being on a big platform. A lot of the commentary you receive is probably just like, I gotta, just basically mute the noise because I gotta do my job. Like, I can't be listening to what everybody got to say. But at the same time, the optics are off. The issues, the women that you have the most issues with are browner, darker skinned women. Yeah. So even if there's what they call like implicit bias of maybe you're not trying to dislike these women or you're not trying to have an issue particularly with these women, you don't offer them the same amount of grace or friendship that you do other people on the cast. You're quick to forgive or have a conversation with one person who looks more like you, but the other person, you're quick to throw away their relationship. And quick to hold a grudge. So, and it can be, where I feel like we hit these crossroads on this show is that some people are just like, they just really don't like Candiace and Wendy. And the thing is, I can see the parts of Candiace and Wendy that are not to be liked. Yeah. But you can also see that in every single cast member. So it does raise the question, why do they get a harsher judgment on the things they say and do versus other people? Yeah. And then Robyn goes on to say that, whenever she has an issue with a brown skinned woman, she's considered a colorist. And she and Ashley had fought 3 years ago. But it's just interesting how you and Ashley fought 3 years ago and y'all had these big blow ups to the point you went to, the restaurant about to fight her.
You were going to put hands on Ashley.
But it seems like y'all are in a much better place now. And things seem to be really cool. And the things of the past have been forgotten. And maybe just because the things with Candiace and Wendy are fresher, that you might need time to get over them. But it seems like you've just thrown them away.
Look, man.
Which is... It looks funny in the light. It does.
Listen here. I'm going to say this straight up. I don't think there's a colorist problem on this show because Candiace said there is no colorist problem on the show and because Wendy said they're not colorists. I am not going to defend the people who are allegedly under the microscope of being of getting colorists. Let me start over. I'm not going to criticize or defend rather Wendy and Candiace when they are the ones that saying, "Oh yeah, I don't believe that."
And that's where they lose me because I'm like, if you're having the conversation, then personalize it and tell them because even Wendy's saying maybe you should think about why people are saying these things about you. Well, why don't you help them, Wendy? Because you're the one that everybody online is trying to have your back. So why don't you tell her how you feel she might be colorist?
But she do personalize it, Candiace. And this is where she weaponizes it because she listens to y'all. She listens to the crowd. She's the one that said recently, because she was on Angela Yee's show, she said, I don't believe we have a colorist problem. I don't believe anybody on the cast is colorist. But when it's time to insult, you would say white looking, talking to Gizelle. So if you're experiencing colorism and there's some colorist undertones, you can't use it as a weapon against Gizelle now. And I'm not even trying to defend Gizelle, but I'm just saying, if there's
why is that your insult?
If there's an issue, speak on it, please. It's not my job as the viewer to speak on it because I'm not going through it. Yeah. And truth be told, I don't see it. Talk about Christopher Wesley. Okay, you get what I'm saying? So my thing is, if you have to make me see it because I have my own privilege as a man compared to y'all women of what y'all see. There's some blind spots I have. So if you're not going to speak on it, closed mouth's not going to be fed, and I'm not going to feed into this show is colorist. I'm going to say it's not.
And to me, that's a fair count.
It's not.
I mean, the what do you call it? The audience is split when it comes to that. And part of me feels like Candiace may not feel the ladies are on the show are colorists, but she may feel that they reap some type of benefit for them looking the way they look. Like saying to Gizelle, you're able to say all these things because you are white adjacent. So it's just so you think colorism is at play when it comes to production? Candiace, say what it is you're really trying to say. Because otherwise, I mean, people are seeing things, and yes, the relationships and how divisive the show is, it looks weird, but then for you to come right behind and saying you don't think anybody's colors on the cast, so what are you saying?
You ain't saying nothing. No, I mean.
So what point are you making?
She ain't making a point.
Yeah,
and that's That's my whole point. And my whole thing is for everybody who watches the show, there's a whole bunch of clips that came out between this episode and last episode of the reunion, part 1 and part 2. And one specifically that got real popular was this black woman was like, when I watch the show, I get triggered. Fire all the light-skinned broads. She didn't say broads, but fire all the light-skinned broads and hire dark-skinned broads. I'm like, what are you doing now?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's... Like, you can't be the other way. Of course, it's not called colorism, and it's not called being a colorist, but you can't be biased in that way.
Yeah.
That doesn't solve anything. Let's not forget, throughout this whole colorist conversation, hey, we're all black here.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? That's something that we kind of forgetting in this little moment. That's like, hey, we're all black. And I'm like, Candiace, if you are the victim of it, speak on it. Even after the reunion, Candiace tweeted. Like a little, like, you know, the little sides face with the little LOL, basically making it seem like, alluding to it. And that's the thing that Gizelle was basically saying. She was like, hey, listen, Candiace is saying, I did not call any of y'all a colorist. But you allude to it, Candiace. The same way as Gizelle, even though apples and oranges, Gizelle did not say he SA'd me. But she left enough gray area
that people could assume
that
anything.
people can assume it. So you are assuming and alluding by liking tweets, by using insults as white adjacent and things like that, by because that's your insult. You know what I'm saying? You allude to it and you're basically giving the people what they want to hear. So you don't have to say, oh, I called you that. You leave that little space open so you can always say, oh, I didn't call anybody colorist. Well, stop liking the tweets that basically call these people that. Especially if you're going to come on these microphones every time there's a mic in your face saying, I don't believe colorism's on the show. Well, guess what? Me neither.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't either.
Yeah.
Real Housewives of Potomac is not colorist.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So Candiace thinks that the friendship ending with Robyn, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully, let's package that up. Because, I mean, we're not going to move on, clearly.
And Robyn don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we welcome the men to the stage. And Mia says that before she and Gordon got married, he would go on golf trips. And basically, she got to see the sides of the girlfriends going on trips versus the wives knowing what's going on when their men go off.
Yeah.
So Chris didn't want to be in the mess this season. He's tired of talking about the issues from last season. They bring up the woman who said she had an affair with Chris and then said she lied about it. And Chris says he never met the person. Robyn asked about the screenshots and Chris keeps saying he never met the person. Candiace didn't pay the lady off.
As far as we know.
And she thinks Gizelle could have been behind the rumor.
Okay, here's the thing about that, right? Andy basically was like, we missed you this season, buddy. Chris is like, no, y'all didn't. Like, I go where I wanted, and y'all didn't want me here, and things of that nature. And he says, I'm over it, which I can believe, because even when Gizelle apologized last season, Chris accepted the apology at the last reunion.
And just wanted to move on. Yeah.
And just want to move on. Because I think even he knows, listen, the fact that I got this out of Gizelle that these women can't get, I'm going to take it and I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
Now, how he chose to move after that, I agree with him. He probably be like, I'm going to accept the apology, but the relationship between me and Gizelle is forever different. I'm not going to mess with her. I'm not going to be on the show. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Respect to that, right? Truth be told, it kept getting brought up because Candiace kept bringing it up.
Because Candiace couldn't get over it. And it's not to say that she needed to hurry up and get over it, but it's because she couldn't get over it. It's because she was still angry that the season was still centered around it. And Gizelle wasn't talking to Candiace because of the death threat, so there really wasn't any new beef or situation that could have been brought up because they weren't talking to each other.
And even then, to your point, to basically solidify your point, when Gizelle apologized to Chris and Chris accepted the apology, Candiace said right then, I don't.
Yeah.
So Candiace already made it up in her mind from last reunion that she was not going to forgive Gizelle or give any type of wiggle room for Gizelle to apologize to her or to, for an apology to be made. So in my opinion, Candiace, that's your fault. Like, you came into the season bringing on last season stuff. And things of that nature. And to that point, I'm not saying that in a way to like, hey, get over it. If something really did happen to your spouse in that nature, then okay, it is what it is. But y'all gotta come to some resolve, because every time you hold on to that and you bring it up and you bring up the reason why you mad at Gizelle, you are bringing up and actually in complete opposition of how your husband's handling it and how he wants to handle it. He said, I don't want to talk about it no more. Well, Candiace wanted to talk about it every time. So if Candiace want to talk about it and he don't want to talk about it, like, that's the conflict, right? And I'm just saying move on. And I'm only saying move on from it is because Chris moved on from it. That's the only reason why. I'm only going to go by what the one who was a victim of it go by. And if he say I don't want to talk about it, then we're not going to talk about it, right? Now, when it comes to the screenshots, and things of that nature. I don't know. You get what I'm saying? A lot of things was alluded through other bloggers on YouTube, other bloggers and things like that. And my thing is, Candiace, you can't say that the woman that accused Chris is unstable. Even Chris said, like, at first she said, I did it, then I didn't, and I did it, and I didn't, and I didn't. But when she said, well, Gizelle put me up to this, you can't be, well, I believe that. She has to be unstable in all her ways then. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? You just can't support what supports you.
Well, no, the lady didn't say that. The lady said, don't put Gizelle in it. She didn't put me up to it. It was, I think she was getting interviewed by Tasha K.
Okay.
And Tasha K was the one who said that.
Come on now.
And we can't rely on her.
No, we can't. Tasha K, very entertaining. Yes. But at the same time, you can't just choose to latch on things that support your hatred for somebody. Right. You get what I'm saying? I understand Chris at one point was very active on Twitter. He hasn't been active since this whole thing came out with the screenshots alluding to things. So hopefully Chris is okay. Hopefully Candiace can move on from this. And I'm talking about, even though she's not going to be on the show next season, I'm just talking about in life. You get what I'm saying? But go ahead.
Yeah, only thing I thought about it was that, Chris, you didn't give a good answer.
Help me.
By saying you never met this woman. That doesn't answer. Did you send her pictures? Like, what is going down? What is going on? So, hopefully they're being transparent so it doesn't come to bite them in the butt later on.
Hey, listen, right message, wrong messenger. Robyn, don't say nothing, please, because you had a whole season on this platter for you to be the star, and you fumbled it.
Yeah, you ain't got no room to talk.
You ain't got no room to talk at all. Okay?
Yeah. So, pretty much Chris just wants, because... what's her name? Candiace was expressing her feelings, and Chris says, just let people be acknowledged for their feelings, just the same way you felt uncomfortable, and Candiace feels how she feels.
That's facts, though.
So no one speaks on Juan not showing up because Andy asked how the men feel about it, and they are just pretty much like, he can do whatever he wants. He's a grown man. But Andy asked them, why is it important for you to come to support your wife? And Gordon says, just because you need to be here to show support and, just to basically have her back. And that's where we end.
Listen here, one small thing I want to point out with Nneka, because next part 3, we going to get into the Nneka reel and things like that between her and Wendy and things of that nature, right? Nneka, I'm going to tell you something that a queen said years ago in the 90s, right? Because I saw how she spoke to her husband. Yeah. Right? I'm going to tell you what a queen told us. And she said, how are you going to win if you ain't right within? Whatever you want to take that to mean, take it whatever. I'm just saying, many times in life, you're not going to win if you ain't right within. The way you was talking to your husband was crazy. Like telling him, hey, you're here for me. If you're not going to support me, you go wherever Juan is. I'm like, why are you talking to me like this? Yeah. And you're not going to win unless you're right within. All right. Anything else, Blair?
That's all I got.
Listen here, this was a long one. We made it to close to an hour. In the comments, let's talk. Just because I may not respond, just because Blair may not respond, doesn't mean we don't see it. We saw everything. Yeah. Okay? And we love it. Because now we giving the show to y'all. Okay? Anything else you want to share?
That's it.
Subscribe, like, share, comment, share, subscribe, like, all the above. Y'all be good.
Bye.